So we got the 1086 spoilers, and we're immediately going into the All right, so we got the 1086 spoilers, and we're immediately going into the identities, the names, and what the Gorosei overall represent. So let's just get straight into that. So I'll just bring up this picture here that was supplied to us by OP Spoilers 2023 on Twitter. So this Water 7 looking guy, which I've always said, who I guess we also refer to as the youngest looking Gorosei, and by for all we know, he's probably the oldest, but his name is the warrior god of agriculture, Saint Shepherd Jew Peter. You get it? Jupiter, Jupiter. We found out through Saturn, J. Garcia Saturn, back in Egghead, which I guess we're still technically in, that the Gorosei were likely going to be named after the planets in our solar system, and that's very much the case here. Some of them more subtle than others, but they're also all warrior gods of something, which is also giving us more insight into what they probably originally are. Now, it's also not confirmed if they are like as old as Imu is implied to be, meaning that they all probably come from the Void Century, which I think that they do, but they did say something before back during like the end of Wano where it implied that maybe they didn't, because they said something like the Gorosei, referring to not themselves, although we've never heard them refer to themselves in the third person before, although Imu has, but it is possible that they're like new Gorosei, but just the way that this is all set up here and the way that they look, I assume that maybe they are, from the Void Century possibly, and they are existing somehow via some life prolonging ability or procedure or something that isn't the perpetual youth surgery. It could be something to do with Mary Schwab. But anyway, Water 7 guy, he's the god of agriculture. Now we're finally coming to Samurai Gandhi after, I don't know what, 20 years or something. We've been calling this guy that, or at least I have. But we're finally getting his name. And he's the warrior god of finance, Saint Ethan Baron V. Nasu Juro. So this guy is representing Venus. So I guess V Nasu is Venus. But also the Nasu Juro, like we've been talking about for a while now, he very likely is the defector from Wano back in the day, which, we'll probably get more insight to during the Void Century flashback or whatever, or whenever his time came. And for sure, the sword that he has is Shodai Kitetsu, one of the supreme grade swords, like the ultimate version of what Zoro currently has. And also, he's like the god of finance, which is kind of funny to me. He's like a finance bro. But then we got in the middle, Big Mustache Man. He's warrior god of law, Saint Topman Valkyrie. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Also, if you're familiar with HelloFresh, which I've also used before and love, Factor is in partnership with them. Are you looking for calorie conscious options this summer? Well, try delicious dietitian approved calorie smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. You can choose from 34 plus chef prepared weekly options featuring premium ingredients such as broccolini, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. Plus, you could round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 plus add-ons, including breakfast items like their delicious apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, or for an easy wellness boost, try refreshing beverage options like cold pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. And if you're looking to pack in more protein, you can conveniently add on filling options like a salmon fillet or chicken wings to your Factor meals to support your nutritional goals any time of the day. Because for me personally, all day long, I'm pretty much working on YouTube.
sure you've seen on the channel that I'm always uploading, and it can make things pretty hectic, especially trying to get meals in during the day. And Factor really helps me with that because they're simple and delicious, and all I have to do is just pop them in the microwave. It saves me from monotonous meal prep, or even worse, having to eat out all the time, which is super expensive.
I tried the queso fundido with cilantro cauliflower rice and the garlic and herb chicken breast with smoked cheddar cauliflower grits. Oh my god, I cannot believe how good this queso fundido was. And I'm not lying when I say this, I swear guys, this is the best I've ever had. I don't know how they made this. I wish they sent me like 17 of these. I could eat it every day. The garlic, herb, and chicken breast was incredible as well. The chicken was cooked perfectly, and the smoked cheddar cauliflower grits paired with it so well. So guys, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code ZHONIIN50 to get 50% off of your first Factor box. That's factor75.com and use code ZHONIIN50 to get 50% off of your first Factor box, guys. Thanks. And this guy is Mercury, I guess that works out in some wordplay or alliteration or whatever, but he's the god of law. Then we got the tall guy with the mustache who looks like he's coming from Skypiea. He could be like the defector of them. He's the warrior god of environment, Saint Marcus Mars. So yeah, he's Mars, and god in the environment could mean a lot of things. Kind of conflicts with agriculture, but I guess they could be considered two different things. And then we have Saturn, who we already knew his name, Jay Garcia Saturn. He's the warrior god of scientific defense, and that's pretty cool, right? Because he's going to Egghead to, I don't know if necessarily defend science, but, you know, keep their secrets intact and kill Vegapunk, which is directly going against what he is the god of, because Vegapunk is pretty much science as himself. But yeah, they're the Gorosei, and that's, you know, they're supposed to be conflicting and incompetent anyway. But I guess this also means that they are pretty darn powerful, because we saw that, you know, in the last chapter, that they do very likely have devil fruits and mythical devil fruits, if that. Maybe, I mean, we've heard tons of other speculation if you've been in the community lately. Maybe they have like alternate or different kind of devil fruits, but at this point it seems like they probably have some crazy mythical devil fruits that are like the most powerful probably. And I'm gonna probably talk about that more with Sai and Parvision next week, because it seems like we're going on break either next week or the week after. I don't know if it's fully confirmed yet, but Oda is going to be getting like some kind of surgery on his eyes to fix astigmatism. I'll put it up here, but yeah, he's going to be going on break for at least 4 weeks, either next week or the week after. So yeah, obviously he deserves it, and we all hope that he recovers well. But going further, it turns out that Lelougia is to be destroyed using a weapon made by Vegapunk. So this is being referred to in the past, because in the previous chapter we were looking at a month ago, like when the reverie was still going on. And I guess this is happening almost close to where we are currently in the storyline, because Lelougia wasn't blown up directly as the reverie was going on, because Imu and the Gorosei and the world government by proxy was tracking down Sabo after he had left, and through wiretapping and stuff, they had figured out that he was at or near Lelougia. But them saying it's being destroyed by a weapon made by Vegapunk is fascinating, because the leading theory, or just what we assumed was going on there, was that Imu was using freaking Uranus to destroy Lelougia. But I guess it wasn't. It was something made by Vegapunk. Now, I also fully assume that this is Vegapunk basing that off of what Uranus was. So he has like his own proprietary Uranus, which is insane. But also, I guess that means that Uranus is still out there and someone doesn't have it. Or maybe that comes back around and that the moon is Uranus and Enel does have Uranus. I don't know. It still remains to be seen, but I kind of like that Uranus is still out there. But I totally would have been on board with the world government having it still. But I mean, I guess it kind of has to still be out there, because if the world government did have it, then the Straw Hats or whoever would have to ultimately defeat them in order to get it, because you do need all 3 weapons to quote unquote bring the dawn, or at least it's heavily implied that you need to, or at least whatever was said on Laugh Tale by Joy Boy or whatever. So I guess it's still out there somewhere and it's still up for grabs, maybe. But then it's like, what was Daffy talking about with the national treasure of Mary Joie? Is it just Imu herself, or the straw hat that maybe belonged to Joy Boy or something else? So the huge reveals are continuing here, because there was a Saint Imu from the Nerona family among the first 20. So that's fascinating. We knew that, or at least it was implied by Cobra in the previous chapter, that Imu was coming from one of the first 20 families that formed the world government. And I guess it's being confirmed here that Imu is from the Nerona family, which we still don't know what that means. But I still think that they could be aliens or something. Or at the minimum, Imu is a princess from this family or something. And, we'll get more into that, I guess, in the next couple years. Anyway, Mjosgard, our favorite celestial dragon, is sentenced to death by the Holy Knights. And we see their leader, and he's from the Figureland family. So that's crazy. I can't believe that's actually being like straight up confirmed. There was so little to go off of. So let me catch you up to speed on what we're talking about here. So it was revealed 3 or 4 chapters back that the Holy Knights existed. Well, aside from us hearing about it from Aki Inu in chapter 1054, but we got to see their silhouettes when Dragon was talking about them. And the middle silhouette was like kind of like Shanks, I guess, or at least that's what we jumped the gun to. Like I talked about in my review for that, I wouldn't have assumed that that looked like Shanks, but I don't know, everybody else was on board with it, and it seems like there was credence to that, because the leader, who we assume the guy in the middle, is from the Figureland family, and the Figureland family is the family that Shanks is implied to have come from. It was mentioned in the film Red movie that Yuta, quote unquote, is coming from the Figureland family. And we knew that the whole big thing about film Red was that Yuta was like the adopted daughter of Shanks. So that was meaning that she was coming from Shanks's family. Shanks's family is the Figureland family. Again, not confirmed, but it's all kind of connecting here. And I think that's very likely the case, because Shanks is heavily implied to be a celestial dragon. I've made multiple videos about that. But I guess this means that Shanks's father or relative is the leader of the Holy Knights, and he is the Figureland whoever. And I guess he abandoned Shanks maybe at God Valley, or something happened and he lost Shanks, because Roger found him in like a treasure chest or something. So hopefully we get a flashback to God Valley. I mean, we kind of have to at this point, right? Hopefully Oda doesn't leave us hanging on that. But man, fascinating developments here. And we actually have one more. I don't know if this is fully confirmed, so I'm a little worried about reading this one, but it's coming from Pew Peace, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that he isn't reliable. It's just sometimes, if we're not getting it directly from Read On, or people that Read On has confirmed, or like, Eat and Bobby, we need to be, a little skeptical about it. But apparently more of the Seraphims are being revealed in this chapter, and it's Moria and Crocodile. So that's really interesting. I guess that means that there will eventually be a Doflamingo Seraphim. And I wonder what this Seraphim Crocodile's fruit is going to be, because Vegapunk said that he had difficulty, or it was like, I think he said almost impossible to be able to replicate a Logia devil fruit, so, or the intangibility of it or something. So maybe it's like a hybrid fruit or something, or maybe he just has a different ability altogether, or maybe he can just manipulate sand, but that's it. Remains to be seen, but that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I will be reviewing the full summary once we get it, so hopefully that is soon. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.